Heartless, Forbidden, Book 1. Written by Suzana Thompson. Narrated by Paulina Schubert. Chapter 39. Mom was incredibly excited about going to college. She had taken all her placement tests and registered for the next semester, and she couldn't wait for January. While I was looking forward to vacation, she was excitedly anticipating going to school. "Just wait until you have to do homework," I admonished her. "You'll miss your free time." "No, I won't," she denied. "You and Kate are busy with school. Robert is busy with work. I have nothing to do all day." That wasn't actually true. She was starting to become more involved in charity work, but that didn't take up as much time as a regular job. She had gone from working 2 jobs to not having to work at all, and she was still adjusting to her new lifestyle. Mom had also started going to the gym, while I didn't even have time to go for my walks. I drove straight to Logan's house after school, so that I would be able to get home quickly afterwards and be there for my session with my Spanish tutor. Logan had welcomed me over, and I was relieved that our friendship didn't seem to be affected by what was going on between him and Morgan. He even laughed when I demanded to know what the hell was wrong with him. "What are you talking about?" he demanded playfully. "I'm flawless." I couldn't help cracking a smile. "Almost," I conceded. It had been much easier to remain upset with him on the phone when he couldn't beguile me with his playful expression. "Morgan," I said to remind myself of the reason I'd come to see him. "Why are you doing this to her?" I added more forcefully. His expression sobered. "I shouldn't have kissed her." "No, that's not the problem," I told him. "It was good that you finally kissed her, but why won't you admit your feelings for her?" "I haven't hidden my feelings for her," he denied. "I've always liked Morgan. She's a sweet girl. When you say that I finally kissed her, you're implying that it was inevitable, but it wasn't. That's why I shouldn't have done it, because she has romantic feelings for me." "You're saying that you don't have romantic feelings for her?" I asked incredulously. "You kissed her for 20 minutes. "She kept track of how long we kissed?" he questioned in disbelief. It made her sound deranged when he put it like that, so I tried to give him a reasonable explanation. "She knew what time she arrived, and she was kind of in a trance staring at the clock afterwards." That made me want to wince with how pathetic it sounded. "I wondered what she was doing," he mumbled to himself. "You liked kissing her," I forged on. "You can't tell me you don't feel—" "Attraction?" he interjected. "Yes, I do. Morgan is an attractive girl. So are you. I could kiss you too, but that wouldn't mean that I have romantic feelings for you." I stared at him. "But you didn't want her to go out with Blaine. You got upset about it. I know you were jealous," I insisted. "Concerned," he corrected me. "I was concerned because of his reputation as a player. Morgan is so innocent that I was worried he'd take advantage of her." "You weren't jealous?" I asked in dismay. "No," he confirmed. "But you offered to cancel your trip if she didn't go out with him," I protested. "I can't believe you'd change all your plans like that if you didn't have feelings for her." "I do have feelings for her," he replied, "but they aren't romantic. I feel affection for her. And she's obviously growing up to be a beautiful girl." "Affection and attraction can turn into love," I stated. "But they haven't," he said. "I've known her for years, and I haven't fallen in love with her." Agreeing to cancel my trip was a spur-of-the-moment decision, and I regretted it soon after you left. I got caught up in wanting to be the hero, but I'm too self-involved to sustain that feeling. "You don't seem that way to me," I told him. "I thought that Cade was much more conceited when I met him." "Self-contained, then," he amended. "I get very caught up in my own interests. That's why Julia and I understand each other so well. Her passion for music is more important to her than romance." "Are you still with Julia?" I asked suspiciously, because he was talking about her in the present tense. "We see each other occasionally," he answered. "Are you serious?" I exclaimed. "You cheated on her! I can't believe this!" "We no longer have a traditional relationship. We left it open to still see each other when I came back, but we're not a couple per se." "How great for you," I huffed. "You get to string 2 girls along." It was Julia's decision. He spoke that statement so stoically, without any inflection of defensiveness, that I knew it was true. My outrage fell as flat as his voice. You didn't want to end it with her, I surmised. He shrugged, but his gaze drifted away from me. She's kind of my Marion, I guess. She's got her own life, and I've got mine. Marion? I prompted quizzically. From Indiana Jones, he replied. Never mind. The point is that I wasn't cheating. It was only kissing anyway. But I thought that... I trailed off and plopped down on his couch. Oh my God, I said dismally and covered my face with my hands in distress. I told her to kiss you. It's all my fault. You're acting like someone died, he admonished me. Nothing that terrible happened. At least I hope I'm not that terrible of a kisser, he joked, defaulting back to his trademark playfulness and charm. I removed my hands from my face. She did say it was gross, I deadpanned. You were like a slobbering St. Bernard. He laughed. You see? She'll just remember it as a cringe-worthy first kiss, and I could feel his eyes on me as I guiltily shifted my gaze away from his. What is it? He questioned. I responded, feigning innocence. What's that look? He demanded. What are you hiding from me? My gaze dropped to the floor as I spoke to my feet. Nothing. Lexi, he said in a sharp tone I'd never heard him use before. What are you not telling me? I looked up at him like a chastised child. That wasn't her first kiss. He stared at me for a moment before breaking into an unexpected smile. That manipulative brat, he stated in admiration. She played me. I didn't know she had it in her. She played you? I repeated dubiously. She told me it was her first kiss so that I would keep kissing. He trailed off, an uncomfortable look replacing his delighted expression. I shouldn't be talking about this. I waved off his concern dismissively. Don't worry about the kiss and tell thing. Morgan already told me all about it. She said that you're a marathon kisser, I added teasingly. His discomfort morphed into mischievousness. That's secondhand information, if you want to verify it for yourself. He left the suggestion unspoken, but it lifted my mood with a surge of giddiness that made me laugh. I'll take her word for it. Chicken, he retorted jokingly. I handed up in response. You're just too much man for me, I told him in an exaggerated girly voice. He flashed his dazzling movie star smile. I'll have to tell Cade you said that. If they made a movie about your life, you could play yourself, I remarked. What? He asked with a bewildered laugh. You look like a movie star, I explained. You're too beautiful to be a real person. Movie stars are real people, he stated. They're not manufactured. Yeah, that makes it even more unfair, I complained. Some people are born beautiful. My gaze swept over him. Good thing I like you. Otherwise I would hate you for having everything. Are you fishing for compliments? He asked in amusement. You know that you're not exactly ugly yourself. Even if you were, he added sincerely, it wouldn't matter to me. But would you have offered to kiss me? I challenged. He actually appeared to be giving that serious consideration. Attraction is partly physical, he admitted. Aha! I exclaimed triumphantly. But I don't think that love is, he said. Personality is the deciding factor. The actions of that person, your respect and admiration for them. You don't respect and admire people for their beauty. I looked at him with new respect and admiration before I became suspicious of him. You sure know how to say all the right things, pretty boy. Boy? He questioned in mock dismay. We'll need to do more than kiss for me to prove to you that I'm a man. I rolled my eyes. I should have known that's where this was going. Guys are all the same. He was instantly serious. Is Cade pressuring you? No, I answered. He's actually not, but... But, he prompted when I trailed off. I felt my face heating up in embarrassment. It's kind of hard to stop sometimes, I confessed, adding in the sometimes to make it sound better. The truth was that I always found it hard to stop with Cade. You don't have to be embarrassed about that, he told me. It's not surprising that you're attracted to your boyfriend. I wish that he was just my boyfriend, I admitted. I wish that he wasn't Robert's son. Therein lies the problem, Logan agreed. I wish that I had a solution for you. Why do I always fall for the wrong guy? I exclaimed without thinking. Logan's expression became intensely serious. You think that Cade's the wrong guy for you? No, I answered, taken aback by what I had said. It's just our situation. The situation isn't going to change, Logan stated. He'll always be Robert's son. Hearing it stated so clearly and irrefutably made me realize how much I had been avoiding facing it. Cade was Robert's son, and Robert was my stepfather. There was no way to get around the fact that Cade was my stepbrother, as much as I didn't want to acknowledge him as such. If only we were older and not living together. Things would have been much easier for us if we were already in college. Maybe it's only the thrill of the forbidden, Logan suggested. Your relationship goes against social norms, and that makes it more exciting. No, I denied. He kissed me before our relationship was forbidden. I didn't even like him. My friend was the one who... I trailed off as the realization hit me that he was forbidden to me back then, too. He was Skylar's crush, and he had already asked her out before we kissed. What were you saying about your friend? Logan questioned. She liked him, I replied, and they were supposed to go out on a date. But then he kissed me, and I kissed him back. I stared wide-eyed at him as I spoke. That's when it all started. When you went behind your friend's back with him, he stated bluntly. Because it was forbidden, he added, coming to the same conclusion I had. Was that why I had kissed him? At the time, I had explained it to myself as giving in to temptation after a sexual dry spell. Then I decided that my dislike had been masking sexual attraction for him all along. Now I was being presented with the idea that it was only the allure of the forbidden. No, I said. I didn't start liking him until I saw his nicer side. I used to think that he was a selfish jerk. But now you think that he's altruistic? Logan inquired. I think that he's a good person, I stated. Not perfect, I amended, remembering his treatment of Jenna, but a pretty good guy. You've just described most guys, he remarked. What in particular is it about Cade that makes him worth the trouble of this relationship? I like him, I answered in a tone that told him it should be obvious. That's it? He demanded. You like him. That's all you've got? I like him, I repeated. That's why people date. Because they like each other. By that reasoning, you could just as easily be dating me, he said. So why did you pick Cade? Because we have... sex? Logan supplied when I faltered for words. No, we haven't done that. It's more than that anyway. It's like there are these hidden parts of Cade that other people don't get to see. He can be really romantic and sweet. Logan didn't look impressed at all. So he buys you flowers and follows the usual dating rituals. Any guy can do that. It's more than that, I argued. I got to see a part of him that I never knew existed. He was really emotional and I trailed off because that was too private to talk about. I wasn't going to tell Logan that Cade had cried. He told you that he loves you? Logan pressed. No, I answered. It's too soon for that. We only just started dating. We lapsed into silence for a moment. That's not why I came here, I suddenly spoke aloud as I recalled my reason for coming over. Why are you leaving? You promised you'd stay. I thought I could protect Morgan, but I think I'll do more harm by staying, he replied. Because you won't be able to resist her? I asked excitedly. He laughed in response. No, Lexi. Because she'll want a relationship that I can't give her. Julia understands what kind of life I want, because she feels the same way about music. She wants to be able to give 100% of her attention to it. What kind of life do you want? I questioned. Why can't you be in a relationship? I don't want to get married, and I don't want children. Not ever. You don't know that, I began. You feel that way now, but... I do know that, he insisted. My work will always come first in my life, and that won't be fair to my family, so I'm not going to have one." "What do your parents think about that?" I queried. "Where are your parents?" I inquired as I realized that I had yet to meet them. "At work," he answered with a shrug that indicated he wasn't sure. "Or maybe at some charity event." "You don't know where your parents are?" I asked in dismay. "Did they not tell you, or did you forget?" "They don't need to tell me their schedules. I can call them if I need to get in contact with them." "But you haven't been home for months," I protested. "Why are they going to charity stuff now? They should be spending as much time with you as they can." "They don't need to babysit me," he replied. "I'm used to being on my own." "That's not the point," I argued. "It's not about babysitting you. It's about being together as a family." "We'll be together over the holidays," he said carelessly like it didn't concern him. "They're taking some time off. That's why my mom insisted that I come home." I was somewhat mollified by this, but I still thought that they should be spending more time with their son after he had been gone for months. That was one of the reasons that I started going to Logan's house nearly every day after that, so that he wouldn't be alone all the time. The other reason was so that I wouldn't be alone with Cade. "You let me know if I shouldn't come over," I told Logan. "I told you that you're always welcome here," he insisted. "I meant if you want to be alone with Julia," I clarified. "She's busy composing a new piece," he said. "She composes music?" I asked in surprise. "I thought she played an instrument." Morgan told me she was a musical prodigy, but I thought she was super talented at playing the piano or something. "She is," he confirmed, "but she also composes music. She should really be at a school for the arts, but her mother wanted her to have a normal high school experience. She didn't want her to be treated like a prodigy. She'll be going to Juilliard after she graduates, though." "How long does it take to get from Harvard to Juilliard?" I inquired. 3.5 hours by car and less than an hour to fly there," he replied, knowing the answer off the top of his head. "You've looked into it," I stated. It was yet another confirmation that his feelings for Julia were stronger than whatever feelings he had for Morgan. I had no choice but to tell her that Logan wasn't going to ask her out. "He says that he has wanderlust," I said in an attempt to soften the blow. "He doesn't even ever want to get married or have kids, Morgan." "He doesn't?" she asked, her surprise overcoming her disappointment. "No," I confirmed with a sigh. "It's a crime against humanity. What a waste of gorgeous DNA." Morgan giggled, which gave me hope that she wasn't as devastated as I had feared. "He's almost too gorgeous to be real," she agreed. Kissing him felt like a dream. Sometimes I still think it was. "Are you okay?" I asked. "Yeah," she replied. "You were right. He did kiss me back. The plan worked, so now I'm going to try the other one." "That's not going to work," I said. "Logan's not going to stay here if you go out with Blaine, so—" "I'm going to have sex with him," she cut in. "Tomorrow night. My parents are going to a dinner party, and I invited Blaine to come over." I was completely flabbergasted. "What? Why? How do you even think that's going to work?" I sputtered. "After I have sex with Blaine, I'll know what I'm doing. Then I won't feel so scared to do it with Logan," she explained. "But you're not scared to do it with Blaine?" I questioned. "No," she answered. "Everything's easy with him. Probably because he's had so much practice at it." I almost blurted out his brother's revelation that Blaine was a virgin, but I had promised not to tell her that. I decided to tell her about Julia instead. Until now, I hadn't wanted to hurt Morgan with the information that Logan and Julia were still seeing each other, but keeping that from her had obviously been a mistake. She needed to give up on this crazy plan once and for all. "Did you know that Logan is still with Julia?" "What are you talking about?" she demanded. "They broke up before he went on his trip." "Well, he told me that they still see each other when he's here," I confided. "Are you serious?" she exclaimed. "Then why did he kiss me?" "He said that they're not officially a couple anymore, so I have as much of a chance with him as she does," Morgan interjected. I spoke in disbelief. "You're okay with him being with another girl? You're actually going to compete with her?" "I'm not happy about it," she said, "but I have to try while I still have a chance." "I think he still has feelings for Julia," I told her regretfully. I didn't know about her when I said that you should kiss him. So you should stop now, Morgan. You tried, and now you need to let it go. Taylor said that I should have sex with Logan. She said that she'd still be with Kate if she had had sex with him. She doesn't want me to make the same mistake with Logan. That's not true, I argued in frustration. You can't keep a guy by sleeping with him. Believe me, I know. Morgan's tone became concerned. What happened? Did Kate? No, I interrupted her. It was before Kate. Oh, she responded in a sympathetic tone. That's what you're doing to Blaine, I interjected. You're making him think that you want to be with him, but you're just using him for sex. He knows that, she said. I told him that it's just going to be one time. I just want to lose my virginity. He said he'll do it. Also, I swore him to secrecy, so don't tell anyone. He wants to take your virginity? I queried in disappointment, my estimation of him falling. That's so low. He's doing me a favor, she argued. Yeah, some favor, I retorted sarcastically. Morgan wouldn't listen to my pleas to call off this crazy plan, so I confronted Blaine after I got off the phone with her. I called his brother, Brent. Hey, he greeted me, sounding happily surprised to hear from me. Get Blaine on the phone, I demanded urgently. There was a slight pause, after which he responded in a much duller tone. Sure, I'll get him. He didn't speak to me again before putting his brother on, so there was no opportunity for me to explain that I wasn't calling Blaine for myself. I couldn't tell him the details about Morgan anyway, and it appeared that Blaine hadn't either, because he told me that he'd call me back from his phone. I then knew to answer the unfamiliar number. Blaine? I questioned anyway. Yeah, he confirmed. Sorry, I just wanted to give Brent back his phone, so he wouldn't be hanging around outside my door waiting for it. I began awkwardly. The reason I called is Morgan told me... It's her idea, he cut in defensively. You could say no, I told him angrily. But you're taking advantage of... She'll find someone else to do it, he interrupted me in desperation. She said she'd find someone else if I wouldn't do it. And you can't let that honor go to someone else, I retorted in disgust. At least I love her, he replied. I won't just... He trailed off before continuing awkwardly. I won't be, rough or anything. Blaine, have you ever had sex before? I asked him point blank. Don't tell her, he pleaded. If she knows, she'll find some other guy who'll just use her. But you're not using her? I interrogated him. I could have had sex with other girls, but I didn't. I only went out with them to make her jealous, but she didn't care. I care about her, though. Even if she's in love with some other guy, I'll still be there for her, no matter what. He sounded so sincere, but I was still wary. Lucas had seemed sincere, too. Still, there appeared to be nothing I could do to stop this from happening. With a sigh, I resigned myself to accepting it. Make sure you use a I will, he cut in hurriedly. Can we please not talk about the details? Talking about this with other people is too freaking weird. You haven't told your friends? I asked. No, he exclaimed, sounding offended. I would never tell anyone something like that about Morgan. Okay, I said, feeling better than before I had spoken to him. Okay, bye. Bye, I heard him say before I hung up. I finally got ready for bed, but I couldn't sleep. All my nervous energy and anxiety spurred me to seek out another person to talk to. Cade was the only one I could bother this late at night, so I went to his room. Once I got there, I hesitated to knock, so I decided to check if he was awake. Easing the door open quietly was easy, since the hinges didn't squeak like the ones in our apartment had. The light from his TV screen illuminated the room, but the sound was off. I saw Cade lying in bed, staring at the ceiling instead of the TV. Hey, I spoke softly so I wouldn't startle him. He turned his head to look at me, and sat up quickly when he saw me. My attention went to closing the door behind me, and I let out an involuntary shriek at his unexpected nearness when I saw him standing right in front of me. The thick carpet had prevented me from hearing his steps as he crossed the room. He was only wearing boxer shorts, and my eyes were drawn to all that bare, masculine skin. "Aren't you cold?" I asked. I was wearing pajama pants and a long-sleeve pajama top myself. "I'm never cold when I'm thinking about you," he replied. "Now you're here," he added, his voice dropping seductively. I began, but I had lost my focus. I was too distracted by seeing his body in this intimate setting. I dragged my eyes up to his face and became lost in the intensity of his dark gaze. I felt fevered with anticipation as he stepped toward me, and I was suddenly sweltering in all the fabric covering my body. Cade's searing kiss inflamed me into seeking more of his heat, even as I was burning up. I ran my hands over the hot skin of his back as I pressed myself against him. A low sound came from the back of his throat, and his tongue tangled fiercely with mine. I felt my lower back being exposed to air, while my pajama top rode up as Cade slipped his hand beneath it and up my bare skin. The sensation of cool air did nothing to douse my fiery passion. When Cade's hand slid back down, it moved below the waistband of my pajama pants. His touch sent a thrill through me. I had no underwear on beneath my pajamas, and the awareness of how little clothing separated our bodies flared into a desire for even more contact between our bodies. The thin material of Cade's boxer shorts did little to conceal his arousal. My own arousal spiked in anticipation of what was going to happen. Crazed with lust, we ended up on Cade's bed with him on top of me. My pajama shirt was on the floor, and I was way past the point of modesty as Cade dipped his head toward my breast. That was when Robert walked in on us and flipped out. "Cade!" he roared. Cade reared up off me as I screeched in panic and frantically covered my breast with my hands. I caught a glimpse of my mom coming to stand beside Robert with a shocked look on her face, before Cade sprang in front of me to block me from their view. He was facing me, probably in an attempt to block the very obvious bulge in his boxer shorts. "Cade!" Robert thundered again. "Give her a minute to get decent," Cade snapped at him. "Get dressed," Robert ordered, "and get downstairs now, Cade. We're taking her mother to the hospital." "Mom?" I said in alarm. "What's wrong? Why are you going to the hospital?" "She's been vomiting," Robert replied to me in a gentler tone. "Cade," he snapped, "give her something to cover up." Mom finally spoke. "Robert, please go wait downstairs." "We're going to the hospital," he insisted. "Okay," she agreed. "Just go wait downstairs, please." "I'll get the car," he said. Cade still held his tense stance in front of me until Mom stepped around him and handed me my pajama top. "Bathroom," he said before fleeing into it and closing the door behind him. I saw that Robert was gone, so I removed my hands from my breasts and quickly pulled on my pajama shirt. I realized that I had put it on backwards, but it didn't matter as long as my nakedness was covered. Mom walked out into the hall and I hurried after her. "You've been throwing up?" I asked in concern. "How long has this been going on?" she demanded. "My God, Lexi, he's your stepbrother." "Nothing happened," I exclaimed. "I mean, we didn't—" I trailed off guiltily because we almost had sex. "We've only kissed." "Without your clothes on," she added tersely. "How could you do this, Lexi? I never would have expected this from you." "I'm sorry," I said as I followed her into my room. "It won't happen again, I promise. I just went to his room to talk and—" "I have to go," she said in agitation. "Robert's insisting on taking me to the hospital." "I'll go with you," I began, but she refused to let me. "No, you don't need to be there with Robert and Cade. Get some sleep. We'll talk in the morning." "But I want to know what they tell you," I protested. "It's probably a stomach virus. We'll be waiting there for hours for them to tell me that I need bed rest and fluids. I've got to keep the peace between Robert and Cade. Stay here," she commanded and left me. I felt like throwing up myself. Anxiety roiled through my stomach and I was worried about Mom, and about Robert apparently blaming Cade for what had happened between us. I cringed when I thought about what he had seen, but being mortified was the least of my worries. Our secret had been exposed in the worst possible way, but I was more concerned about my mom being okay. I hoped that Robert was just overreacting about taking her to the hospital. It turned out that Mom was wrong. It wasn't a virus. And she didn't have to wait hours to find out. They were back home in little more than an hour. I happened to see their car pull up to the house when I looked out the front door for the umpteenth time during my anxious vigil. Robert stopped the car out front rather than driving around to the garage, so I ran outside to meet them. "Mom!" I exclaimed. "Are you okay?" To my surprise, a smile of wonder broke out over her face. "I'm pregnant." I froze in shock as I stared at her. My gaze slowly moved to Robert for confirmation, and I saw him smiling too. Relief swept through me, and a tentative smile began to form on my lips at the realization that I was going to have a little brother or sister. My smile died when I met Cade's stony expression. "I'm going to pack," he said flatly, and strode off toward the house. I was torn between following him and sharing the excitement of my mom's news with her. "Pack?" I questioned, my gaze seeking answers. "He's going to live with his mother," Robert told me. I gaped at him. "What?" "Your mother told me we were in time to stop." He broke off uncomfortably. "This is the best thing for everyone," he continued. "No," I protested. "You can't do that to Cade. Please, we won't." "It's done," he cut in firmly. "His flight is leaving in a few hours." "You're kicking him out?" I demanded in dismay. "Hardly," he huffed. "He's going to live with his mother. I'm not throwing him out on the street." "This is so unfair," I argued. "You're blaming him when it was my fault. I'm the one who went to his room tonight." "This is the only solution," he retorted. "I don't see why you think it's so terrible for him to live with his mother. I thought you liked Catherine." "I do," I replied. "I think she's great, but Cade's life is here. He's got his basketball and his friends, and the baby," I added as I remembered the news. "He's going to have a baby brother or sister. He can't miss out on that. Please," I begged. "Of course he'll visit us," Robert assured me, but he was unswayed by my pleas. "Mom," I pleaded when I saw that Robert wasn't going to change his mind. "I'm sorry," she said. "There's no other solution." My eyes filled with tears, and I spun away from them and ran into the house. Cade's door was open, and I found him calmly packing a suitcase when I burst into his room. "Cade!" I exclaimed in anguish. He turned and fixed a cold expression on me. "Tears too. Very impressive. You should be the one going to Hollywood." "What?" I asked in confusion, trying to understand what he was talking about. "Cade," I immediately continued, "you have to get Catherine to talk your dad out of it." "You can stop now," he said. "I'm not buying your bullshit anymore. So you can go ahead and gloat at how you played me." "Played you?" I questioned as he kept me at a distance with his icy attitude. He smiled in derision. "You and your mother. What a pair. She was going to go to college, but wait, she's pregnant. She's got the Stover fortune in the bag. And her daughter can go after the Cade fortune." "What are you talking about?" I demanded. "I'm not after your fortune." "No, your mother's already got that," he retorted. "And her daughter is going to have Logan Cade's fortune. I have no doubt that you'll get it. You've already managed to get me kicked out of my own house without even having sex with me. You can probably dangle that carrot over him until he marries you." I was momentarily speechless. "How can you think that I would—" "I bet you're not even a virgin," he cut in, his voice edged with anger and venom. "I never said I was a virgin!" I exclaimed. His thin, glacial smile froze my offended anger. Finally, the truth. "I never lied to you," I insisted. "Cade, please don't be like this. Please talk to your mom. She might be able to get your dad to change his mind." "Trying to hedge your bets in case Logan figures out your game?" he suggested blithely. "He is smarter than me, so it might not be so easy for you to play him." "I'm not playing anyone!" I exploded in frustration. "I can't believe you're acting like this. You know that I like you, and I thought you liked me. How can you accuse me of all these awful things?" "Getting your mom to have my dad walk in on us at just the right time," he marveled. "Now that's teamwork. You guys are really pros." I stood rooted to the spot as he calmly returned to packing. My ability to form words was just returning when Robert's stern voice stopped me from unleashing a string of profanities I was about to spew at Cade. Say goodbye and return to your room, Alexandra. Goodbye, asshole, I told Cade before spinning on my heel and marching furiously out of his room. Everyone wisely left me alone as I spent the rest of the night stewing in my room over Cade's unbelievable heartlessness. When I heard footsteps in the hallway a few hours later, I wasn't able to resist the desire to see if he regretted his words. Opening the door, I stood in the doorway and watched him walk by without a single glance toward me. I'm driving him to the airport, Robert informed me. Your mother is asleep. I'll be back soon so you can go back to sleep. I took one last look at Cade's retreating back, and turned my own back on him in response as I stepped resolutely into my room. When I faced the hallway again in order to close my bedroom door, I resisted the urge to lean out and see if Cade was gone from my view. He had chosen to think the worst of me, and I wouldn't keep begging him to believe me. Our relationship apparently meant nothing to him if he was able to discard it so easily. I wasn't able to go from hot to cold so quickly, but I would get over him. Being far away from him would make it easier. I knew that I would see him again since he was Robert's son, but that's all he would be to me from now on. This has been Heartless, Forbidden Book 1, written by Suzana Thompson, narrated by Paulina Schubert. Copyright 2016 by Suzana Thompson. Production copyright 2018 by Suzana Thompson.